If you just work for money, then sure, burn yourself out, go for it. That's not gonna do it in the end. Like, your paycheck isn't gonna like fill you up at the end of the day when you're sitting at home by yourself, going to sleep, and you're mulling over what's my life about. It's the times with the people that are gonna make that happen. And so it's really important that you have enough rest in you to make sure that you can take care of your employees, and you can make sure that you take care of your customers, and you can make sure that you take care of your passion. Hey guys, welcome to the Coffee Snob Podcast. Glad you're tuning in today. Today we're talking about something that gets overlooked sometimes by workaholics, and it is actually taking a break. And we're going to talk about this because, you can only go so hard before you just crash and then everything starts suffering. So, we're kind of in the midst right now of opening a new location. We are, weeks in, not months in. And so it's a lot of hard work that's going into it right now. That first setup period is just tough. Like, you put your nose down and you just grind until it gets accomplished. And so I think we are in a good place to talk about taking a break because we probably need one. Yeah, Sarah, you need a break? Yeah, don't cry. Yeah, but really, that's kind of where we are. But we wanted to talk about taking a break just because. If you're a shop owner or even if you're a barista doing 40 hours a week in a busy cafe, you're doing a lot of work, and it's really important that I guess you can be creative behind the bar, but it's really important that you have a creative outlet, and then I would say too that you're taking at least one day off a week and you're just not doing work on it. And that could sustain a person for a really long time. And then also that you're creating time for friends and family and vacation and doing bigger things. Your once a year vacations or once every couple of years. But anyway.
Well, I think that people, they start businesses because you might start an Etsy shop or you might start a coffee shop, and it's really based on something you're passionate about and art that you love to create, and you're knitting something and it's just filling you up, and then suddenly you're I could monetize this. I could make a living doing what I love, and then your costs get involved, deadlines get involved, customers get involved, mistakes, tweaks, all these things start to kind of encroach on the beauty and the art of it. And so even if a knitting was your creative outlet, I think if you've decided to make it your business, that it's important to find something else, some other creative outlet. And it doesn't, it could just be reading, or it doesn't have to be working with your hands if that's your current creative outlet that you've created and a business out of. So do you have a creative outlet, Sarah?
I actually like embroidery. I'm kind of a grandma, so I love just sitting, watching a movie, and then sewing. Yeah. But that's kind of my down. I'm not a huge reader. Yeah. It's really hard for me to read, so I don't really do that, but I'll just sit and sew something for my friends.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, I know when we were opening Blackjack's, it was a lot of hours. COVID was happening, so it was crazy time anyway. You couldn't go places. It was just weird. And so I like tobacco pipes, and so I said I'm gonna start carving pipes. And so I bought some blocks of briar online, got them shipped, and just started going after it. And
it's actually really good.
And yeah, I just got creative.
Faces,
Yeah, just
all backwards to
pipes.
me. I don't
Yeah.
like drawing. I could do, but like it's a backwards.
Yeah, it's great.
It really is.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
take away everything you don't need, which
Right.
is really strange. It's a strange way to do it. But after a little bit of practice, I actually got pretty decent at it. I haven't made one in, gosh, a couple of years maybe. But once probably made about 10 pipes in that little season. But I just needed something. I needed something creative to do that was like outside of work.
Right. Because you guys are creative, and you've been so creative, like with the menu and with coming up with new drinks and new things. And then you're creating like all day long. But I think that if you were to go home and be like, I want to be like, I've worked,
This is why I don't cook.
right.
Yeah.
Like, right, cooking. You've cooked all day here, and then to go home and be like, I'm going to create a great meal and cook, it can be really difficult. Or to say, I should come up with a drink for the shop, like a new drink. Well, we should do a fall drink. And then to try to go home, it's so much pressure because you're in the thick of it. And I think when you have a creative outlet and you're like at rest, then the ideas start to flow. The juices start to flow. Even if you're making a pipe, you could think about, 10 other cool things that you'd like to do because there's no pressure. You're just being creative.
Well, it's kind of like what you said, like when you, like kind of the point a lot of times is, for us to do something that we're passionate about. Like I'm passionate about coffee, so I'm in the coffee business. And that way I can do coffee all the time. But then it turns into like, well, coffee here isn't leisure anymore. It turns into work. And so, I can still do coffee at my house, but I separate it from like everything. So like even right now, like, we had that podcast about the different teas, like the matcha and all that stuff. And like, I have matcha up here, but then I have some like really, really good matcha at the house that like I couldn't even really sell here, but it's like so over the top, But like that's another creative outlet for me. Like this morning I woke up and I was like, hey, where's my matcha bowl at? You know what I mean? Like where's the it's the kids really like the matcha
But I think
too.
that might have even been why you like even got into matcha, because it's not something you're immersed in at the stores.
Right,
it's something brand new.
Yeah.
So, and different, and like it's like the things he makes, he probably couldn't sell because it'd be like a $22 drink or something. But and then so
Gold
the
flakes.
pressure's off. Like it's not like, how do I make this into a way that it's
What's the bottom line on them?
Yeah, what's the bottom line?
Yeah.
All the stuff. It's just like, I'm just gonna make myself a really good drink because I have all the stuff here and it's fun for me.
And like I know the difference, and so I'm like, I'd sit there and like sip my little tiny cup of matcha in the morning. I'm just like, oh, this is so good,
But I think that having a creative outlet outside of work, especially if you've turned your creative outlet into work, is just one way to rest. I think that another like very important way that we don't, especially as like Americans, we kind of vilify a day off, the days off or weeks off or like a couple, like nobody takes a 2-week vacation, much less a month vacation. That's like crazy. But there's something very rejuvenating about taking your time off, taking your days off, and being intentional about them.
Yeah, I think when you take an extended vacation, like something over a week, like you want to stay gone and separated from all this long enough to where you start to miss it. Where you start to say like,
I'm ready to get back.
Like I want to go back there. I want to see those people. I want to go back to my craft. And I feel like when you get to that point where you're hungry for it again, then it's like, then that passion kicks back in. And then when you get back, the creative juices start to flow fresh. and you're not in this stale kind of trench anymore, but you're like,
I think it gives
you're
you like
out of it.
You get a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Rest,
You get up here.
Oh, what was the point again? Oh, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
and then you can get rolling again instead of just trying to survive. You're like, oh, yeah, this is how you thrive in this, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Well, even as a mom, like haven't worked like a 9 to 5. I work 24. I'm on a 24-hour
24 hours, yeah.
But sometimes you feel guilty about like going out or taking time away from the kids or hiring that sitter. But if I do it and I make sure, like when we had our girls' weekend, our retreat back in February, it was like 2 nights and 3 days. And it's a long time to be gone from everybody on a weekend when he works a lot and I only see him on the weekend. But man, you just come back so refreshed and ready. And I think it's true of people in the business world, in life, because you can get really burnt out. And that was something that you were talking about earlier off camera, right? About your new employees like wanting, I'll get overtime.
Yeah.
Tell me what's your policy on that?
Well, I mean, sometimes you have to get them in there and like be like, I need you this week. Can you do overtime? But I really try to. Sometimes they don't know what it will end up being if they keep working that many hours, and their heart is to help, and so it's like, well, actually, it'll help me if you like last longer. But if you do this 45 hours, you're going to burn out, and so I'm going to guard this for you. Like, I know you want to help, but this is actually going to help us in the long run.
I need you to love being here. That's what I need you to do. Yeah.
And you're not going to after. I did I was working at Lingleville and another shop at the same time, and I did like a 19-day work deal, and that was enough. Like, that was my lesson. Like, no, never again. Like, if needs, I have to have one day where I'm not, like, once a week.
Well, and I think that just shouts back to like why it's important that you don't just work for money. Like, if you just work for money, then sure, burn yourself out, go for it.
All the overtime.
But it's like, it's really like we know, because we've been doing this long enough, like that's not going to do it in the end. Like, your paycheck isn't going to like fill you up at the end of the day when you're sitting at home by yourself going to sleep and you're mulling over, what's my life about? It's the times with the people that are going to make that happen. And so it's really important that you have enough rest in you to make sure that you can take care of your employees, and you can make sure that you take care of your customers, and you can make sure that you take care of your passion in you. Because really, without the passion that pushed it all and made it all happen in the first place, it's going to turn into something stale at the end of the day. It's not going to be fresh. It's not going to be this thing that people get excited about. It's going to be more like, this is just kind of what we do because I'm tired, Well,
it is hard to, if money is the reason, then it's like, I don't know, I can make more money if I don't take a break. Even in the small, like, I need a lunch,
Yeah,
like, those are hard to take.
Break. Yeah, that's right.
And then it's like, but there's so many things that aren't done. Like, they're not finished, and it drives me crazy to like walk away from something when it's not finished, and I'm like, Yeah. But if you like discipline yourself to just like, no, it can wait 10 minutes or it can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's going to be better. Like,
because sometimes people look at rest and it's like, oh, that's lazy. Oh, you're weak. Oh, whatever. But it takes an incredible amount of discipline to let something sit.
And wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom that you know yourself well enough.
And say, I'm going to take a lunch break. I mean, in the state of Texas, if you're working a 6-hour shift or more, you have to take a break.
Yeah.
So, legally. But there's so many people that want to just work through their break and burn through, and I think that there's something very wise and not only just like refreshing and refueling about taking breaks, taking a day of rest, and then taking vacation and taking time for creativity. It's not only like, I'm rejuvenated. I think it adds to your longevity, and the longevity of your passion.
Yeah. And I would even say, like, you know, if you're working in a cafe right now, like, don't treat your break like it's almost like you're defending it with everything that you are. You know what I mean? It's like, go take your break and, like, keep one eye on your friends over there. You know what I mean? They might need you to, like, hop in there and give them a hand. Like, we never turn off the people around us just because we have put something else as a higher priority to them, even ourselves and even our breaks. I know that's one thing. I don't know. That's one thing that I see sometimes where it's like they take a break and they just completely disconnect, and then like you've got people like drowning over there because it happens, you know, and then they're just like,
good luck.
see you later.
No, have we shared this on this podcast? I can't even remember. One time we went to a restaurant and we had ordered.
I know where you're going with this.
It was subpar, but it was fine. It was whatever. We got to our stuff. Then we go back up to the counter, and a guy's kind of sitting there, but off from the register.
No, we got our food. I sat down. I needed a fork because they didn't give me a fork, right? And like I said, this place is already like
subpar,
mediocre. We go up. He's the only one at the register. I'm like, I just needed to get a fork real quick because there's none out here. And he was like, I'm sorry, I just clocked out to go on a lunch break. And there's forks right there. Like I could see them, and I'm just like, "Urgh." and so I'm like, well, could you just give me a fork, just right there? And he's like, literally, he's like,
he just like stares at Lance, and Lance goes like, I mean, like even if you're like on a break, but we were like friends, like, would you get me a fork?
Like if I was just like your friend.
And puts it on the counter, and I'm like, is this the Twilight Zone? What is wrong?
Like, what's going on here?
We're like 24 with like 3 kids. We're like, what's wrong with these kids? You know. It's just the weirdest thing. That is true. We do need to prioritize rest, but we can't like neglect.
Yeah, people first, guys. People first.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a boundary that you're like, don't cut everyone out, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, it's for you, but
yeah, exactly.
not at the expense of.
Like when you put up boundaries with people, you still love people well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got creative outlets. We have taking a break, and we also have like, you know, taking an extended break every once in a while where you can rejuvenate your passion. And then a big one for me is just having that one day a week where you just turn it off, where you can turn your phone off, you can just turn it off. Everything goes off, and you can just really, really rest. And I think you put like a little sign up above our trash can that says, what is it? No.
It says, we rest, we play. No work, God loves us.
Yeah.
And it's Sabbath. That's just Sabbath.
And so, yeah, there's this concept in the Bible that's, you know, God asks his people as a commandment, you know, to take one day off. And then, you know.
It's like in almost every culture, every people group, and even almost every world religion.
Yeah.
Has a 7th-day Sabbath.
Yeah. And so you fast forward to like, I guess like the New Testament, and then in the Bible, Jesus says like the Sabbath was created for man. Man wasn't created for the Sabbath. And so there's this concept in Christianity where it is our God-given right to take a break. It's a gift that we get. And so it's like, we can take it or not. But man, when you take it, it's just like, oh, wow, it's almost like he knew what he was talking about. Because it really is. It's just refreshing, and you can go hard 6 days. 6 days a week, you can go hard. You get 1 day off, and you actually take it seriously, and you rest, and you can go hard again another 6 days.
Well, it's because you have like something to, even like the first week we were open, it's like we were both talking like, we just need to see the light at the end of the tunnel because you weren't seeing it, you know. But
we're doing like 12-hour days. We're working like a nurse's shift, but in heavy like
run, go, run.
Yeah.
But it's like,
man.
But Sunday is there, and it always gives you that like, this week maybe like, oh my gosh, but it's like
Sunday's coming.
Yeah, Sunday's coming.
Yeah.
And we do, not everybody does this, and you can do whatever you want, but we even have a day of the week that our shop is closed so that nobody is worried or thinking about this place.
Yeah.
Everybody can unplug.
And what it came down to
Our
with
managers, us,
me, we were open 7 days a week. I mean, that's what I tell people all the time. Like, listen, I follow Jesus. My shop, it's here for business. Like, that's what we're doing. And so we're open.
Shop, don't go to church.
We're open 7 days a week, and that was fine with me. And it just got to where none of my employees really wanted to come in on Sunday. I didn't want to work on Sunday. And then Sunday was a huge day for us. We were only open half a day for a while, and we were doing as much business as we did the entire day. And we're a coffee shop. We weren't even open in the morning. It was that busy.
But it was like one person like opening
Right.
and closing, and they're like,
and so I'm constantly it's constantly in the back of my mind the entire time. So I'm like trying to rest, but then like I'm still like my shop's
somebody's
open.
gonna text you like, oh, what about this? What about this? So you're not really on a.
And so finally I just closed it, and we didn't even see a dent in sales.
Yeah.
Like
Our
losing
weekly sales
losing a day a week, our monthly sales, it stayed the same.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, heck, that'll work.
And I think that because we're a coffee shop, and a lot of the people watching, I think, are into coffee, right? Coffee snob, coffee life. I think it's really hard when you own a coffee shop or you work at a coffee shop to prioritize rest, because you're surrounded by caffeinated everything.
And you can just drink more coffee.
You can just drink more coffee. And it's like when your body's like, hey, don't.
You're like,
really
shut up.
You know what I mean?
As
So
you're
I
pounding espresso.
I think
Yeah.
that's something that we've had to be disciplined about, because anybody can chug coffee all day, but it's like really super good coffee is here all the time. You have access to it all the time, and sometimes you need to have the discipline to say, okay, well then I'll have a decaf today, because and Lance,
or I'll drink a tea. I'll have a tea today,
Yeah. Lance actually will go different periods of time for different lengths of time where he doesn't have any coffee at all. And he loves coffee, but it's kind of a discipline thing. And it's in order to give his body, his physical body, his adrenals, everything rest. And then he resets, and then he can have coffee. And
you can push yourself really
you don't
hard.
want to overdo it. And it might not be coffee for you. It might be energy drinks, and you might be up working, doing whatever you do. But I do think people in the coffee industry can get burnt out fast if they don't even manage their health and their having a healthy caffeine intake daily.
If you're in a high volume cafe, you need to be practicing some self-control. Take it from me, I've been a barista for 20 years. I've been in high volume, low volume, whatever. I've been in the highest volume cafes that you could possibly imagine, where you come in, you make drinks for 2 hours, you take a 10-minute break, you make drinks for 2 hours, you take a 30-minute break. You make drinks for 2 hours, you take a 10-minute break, and then you make drinks for 2 hours, and you go home. And the line never stops. It's constant. And at the same time, nobody knows what they're doing, and so they brought you in to help. And so it's just an unbelievable amount of stress, an unbelievable amount of work, and you can do it and push yourself to the point where like your body will do it, but you can't do it for very long. Like you just have to know like everybody has limitations, and you don't want to push yourself to the point where your body says no more, because then your body won't ever be the same again. And so take it from me, take a break. Take a break. You might have to get off caffeine for a while. I encourage you, if you take a day off and you don't have a coffee and like you get a really bad caffeine headache, like you need to chill. You need to chill with the caffeine.
I feel judged.
I'll be honest with you, that's where I am right now. You know what I mean? That's where we are right now. And so that time's coming for me. I just know like a little bit longer, and then that time's coming of rest. So, yeah.
I think rest is not just about sleeping. It's not just about taking a day off. It's just about taking care of yourself, your physical, emotional, spiritual self.
And listening to your body, you know what I mean? It's going to tell you when you're like tired, when you're like overly tired, when you need to take a break, whatever, when you're super stressed. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Sarah?
I think like the best advice I ever got, they were talking about God creating the world, and he like creates some and he says that's good, and the next day that's good, but like he didn't finish it all in one day. You know what I mean? Like
a little bit each day.
Yeah, but he still called it good. And like that's the biggest struggle for me with rest is like I want to finish, and if I don't finish, it's not good. Yeah. But it's like just do enough today.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest.
There'll be enough work tomorrow. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and when you own a business, it's harder. You can be your own worst boss, and you might be harder on yourself and expect more out of yourself than you ever had at that other job. And you can run your own self ragged.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Cool.
It's good. We should go home and go to bed.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out Coffee Snob Podcast. We just want to say, let us know in the comments if there's anything that you guys want to chime in on, or if you want us to talk about a certain subject, or if you have some questions. Let us know. And we'll see you next time. Take a break. See you around.